Hello, friends, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joe Perez, and joining me, as always, is my stalwart companion, Liz Harper. How you doing today, Liz?
Hello, hanging in here.
And joining us, we unfortunately have lost Matt this episode. We don't know where he is. He may be lost in time or space. He may have been consumed by the Dark Heart by Xalatath. We'll get him back eventually, I'm sure. But taking his place this week is a recurring guest, the weird uncle that shows up at our sitcom every 10 episodes or so. Cory, how you doing, Cory?
I'm doing great. I love walking into the big ooh and applause, and it's such a fun moment, you know?
It is. It really is.
It was going with that, hey, soundboard and everything. It was that, or to go with there must always be a Canadian.
Yeah,
like the Lich King, but yeah.
I only count as a diet Canadian. I mean, I'm really close. I can literally walk out my porch and see Canada from my porch. So I think that counts for 0.5 maybe. But having a real one here, definitely a necessity. But we're not here to talk about that. No, friends, we are here to talk about what's going on in our beloved games. And boy, we are going to start with some World of Warcraft news because, well, as of the time of this recording on November 11th, the midnight beta has begun. It's a little rocky, as I think everybody expected. The servers are getting hammered pretty hard. But folks are, with some patience, able to get in and start their journeys. It looks like most of the content is available, but not everything is available. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. I do want to take a second here, though, to talk about, if you didn't know, we just did a giveaway for Midnight, as a matter of fact. And we have several winners. I don't know if Liz wants to mention anything else of that.
Yeah, I want to give a big congratulations to Darkwinds and to Marie. Marie is a longtime friend of the site who won copies of the Midnight Epic Edition from us, graciously provided by Blizzard Entertainment. And we ran these contests on Blue Sky and Mastodon. We are going to have another Epic Edition giveaway sometime before patch 11.2.7 goes live with player housing early access. And this, of course, will get you that player housing early access. So if you want to stay in the loop, please do follow us on Blue Sky or Mastodon. Or both. That's also cool. On Blue Sky, we are blizzardwatch.com. And on Mastodon, we are blizzardwatch at gamepad.club. So give us a follow, and congratulations to Darkwinds and Marie. And I hope we can get another great winner for our next contest. So thanks, everyone who entered. Awesome. That's all I got.
Again, congratulations to those winners. And again, if you want to participate in future giveaways and events, be sure to follow us on our socials, or listen here. It helps. We'll let you know when it's going to come. So yeah, let's talk more about the beta here and what is and isn't available. I will say that I haven't gotten to do anything besides look at it because of character creation woes. But there is a new login screen, and it is super rad. I actually really like it. I don't know if you got a chance to scope that. Well, Liz, you've been involved for a little while.
Yes. Well, it has not had a login screen. The login screen is new as of the launch into the beta, and it's kind of mesmerizing. Sometimes you might leave your computer sitting on the login screen, and you've got the kind of intro music bold and adventurous going in the background while you're waiting to log in, or you're waiting in the login queue. Right now, there is no music on the login queue. It's just on the login screen. It's just kind of an ominous hum, and twisting portal directly into the void, in which shards of things are being drawn while you sit there and stare into the darkness, getting drawn closer and closer.
Yeah, I will say that
it's pretty great.
It looks like it's the Dark Heart, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I'm in my head. We are getting the view that Khadgar got when he was being sucked into the Dark Heart, as it slowly consumes us. So as we wait for the ability to make our character. So do we know?
Terrifying and beautiful.
It is
all at the same time.
Do we know what features are missing? And we know it's not feature complete. It's still the beta. It's the first beta after the alpha. We know that transmog updates and different house
Transmog.
styles are missing. Are those the
Transmog will be down for the first week, they say.
Well, okay. So the alpha never had the new transmog features. It just same old transmog system. So we have not seen the new transmog system at all. And right now, there is no transmog in the beta. Not just there's no new transmog system, there is no transmog at all. So basically, beyond the login screen, the game is completely unplayable. I don't know how I can be expected to work in these conditions. But yes, I would think the biggest ones missing are transmogs and new housing styles. We have only seen the default like orky houses and default humany houses in the alpha so far. That's the same thing on the PTR, same thing in the beta. And we are going to get new housing in future weeks. Other than that, kind of late game content, the end game stuff, raid testing isn't going on yet. You can't play higher tier delves yet. The season 1 dungeon rotation isn't in yet, so it's mostly that kind of high-end content, not there. But you can you can roll a Harinar. You can play through any of the game zones. You can do dungeons and delves up to a certain tier. I'm not sure where the cutoff is, but I know you can't do like the max level ones. So there's most of the expansions content is there. The leveling content, all of that is there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really where the focus, I think, is going to be for right now, because the leveling is the first thing all players are going to get able to participate in once the beta releases. So making sure that that's as smooth as possible is really a priority, and I think that's probably a great place to start. Now, don't get me wrong, I want that transmog, and I'm going to be playing with the housing stuff, because there's a 0% chance I'm not pre-planning my home. But yeah, like I can understand why maybe those aren't the priority. So I'm assuming that I know I'm in, Liz, you're in, Cory, you in as well?
I've logged in enough that I could make a brand new goblin, but I haven't even hit play yet.
Yeah, I don't think any of us have
character.
I
haven't even created a character yet because character creation is very buggy at this moment.
But I mean, what are you looking forward to? I guess so. Let's start with that, because I think since we can't get in, what are you looking forward to testing or getting your hands on now?
I think the housing the housing is going to be it, like really getting a chance to see like what you can do in an hour versus what you can do in 3 hours.
Yeah,
versus like whittling away on the problem and like get really digging into it.
I could see that, Liz.
So I have been in the alpha for a while, and quite frankly, I am not your typical alpha tester because I have almost exclusively been playing housing, and
I'm pretty sure that is the typical tester right now.
I've been in housing, and I've been bug reporting every dog and cat I cannot pet. So I'm doing serious work here in the testing. But one thing I haven't done, I've barely touched the new zones. I mean, I've spent a lot of time exploring old zones looking for new content because housing has decor everywhere. It's astonishing how far this spreads. But I really have not touched new content very much. Like, I've done a tiny bit of new zones, but not very much. I visited the Argentina, which is a fun little hangout. But
real quick, why don't we haven't really talked about the Argentina much. What is that?
Okay, so there is a quest chain with Erator that you do. I've not actually done the quest chain because, but they gave you the ability to just unlock the Argentina and go there. So it's really basically just a little quest hub, but it's a quest hub wrapped up in a little. It's a tavern. Do you remember that? There was very recently a comic posted online that was like Christmas with Illyria and Khadgar and everyone getting together at a tavern.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah. That was in what is now the Argentina. So you will find all sorts of people and characters there, and most of them have chores for you. I mean, but it's characters from all over the map. Like, there was Ted. Remember the warlock that you met in Legion?
Ted, who hung out with Marius.
Exactly. He was hanging out in the Argentina. Horsey had a quest for you, and they're sending you all over. Gammon was there, and you find all sorts of weird characters interacting with each other and having these little conversations, or you yourself can hang out and chill with other players, because one of the things they sell at the bar is a potion that will let you understand the other faction, so you could potentially just sit there and hang out. No reason you couldn't. But it's basically just a quest hub, and it's my understanding that
well, hold on a second.
NPCs will rotate.
Real quick, because I don't think that can be understated. Yes. A potion that they sell that you can understand the other players, so the opposite faction?
Yes.
That is amazing. I'm sorry.
It can be a hangout like a hangout that we've never had in World of Warcraft, where you can literally just hang out.
That's kind of awesome.
So yes, it's very cool. In the time I was testing in there, in the time it was available, I didn't see the NPCs rotate around, but it's kind of a hit list of old favorites and old characters asking you to do things. Because if they're there, they're going to ask you to do something. And of course, the bartender is Bob, because Bob is the best bartender. Of course, Joe, you don't play Hearthstone.
Nope.
Cory, I don't think you play Hearthstone. I'm the only one who knows what I am talking about.
Bob's great. We love Bob.
I know who Bob is.
But yes, he is the actual bartender. He was in Dalaran, wasn't he? Maybe.
I feel like he was.
Anyway,
I don't think this is the first time that he's been added to the game.
In Warcraft. But now he's in the Argentina tending bar. When I was there was also a Voidwalker tending bar who had a comment about how he wasn't allowed to devour your soul, so he's going to serve drinks now. So, it's a hard life.
Also, by the way, he is in Dornegal. He's in the Kindling Parlor, by the way.
Okay, I thought I'd seen him somewhere, but yes.
And he was also
Argentina.
And he was also at the Caverns of Time when they did the Bronze Celebration. So he is.
Oh yes, he was.
Canonically, he exists inside of World of Warcraft and not just Hearthstone.
It's crazy. We get these crazy crossovers every now and then. Bob's just great. Bob's always in the game, reassuring you that he supports you and he thinks you're going to be a winner and you can get over this last match that you lost terribly. Keep going. Keep trying, everybody.
And one more reset, surely, and you'll get the exact thing you need to make your gold.
So speaking of gold, I want to kind of talk about something that I see a note here for that I have so many questions about. Yeah, so Blizzard is adding a new currency to the Battle.net shop called Hearthsteel, which is used to pay for housing cosmetics.
Yeah, it's
I have opinions about that, but before I give them, I want to hear what you guys think.
It's a premium cash currency that will be exclusively used for housing items. And, they published a whole blog post with justifications of why we're doing this, and none of them made a lot of sense to me. Like, what can you do with Hearthsteel that you couldn't do with Battle.net Balance? If you're talking about the need to have some kind of digital currency, so you weren't making a credit card transaction for a 25-cent chair or something, why couldn't you do that with Battle.net Balance? The difference between Battle.net Balance and Hearthsteel is that Hearthsteel obfuscates the true cost of something. It turns your money into a random number. And that is typically used in video games in order to extract more money from consumers because you do not know what you're paying for things. And in general, I think premium currencies are a scam designed to extract money from you at a more auspicious rate for the shareholders.
Yeah, let's I'm going to comment on that, but I'm going to let Cory talk first.
Well, I mean, who doesn't love getting 35% more because you've bought 1,000 Hearthsteel all at once?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we've seen it in every kind of mobile game that is offering these kinds of transactions where there'll be a big fanciful pile of the fake coin or the gem or whatever spilling out of a treasure chest. And it's like, ooh, that looks like a good amount of stuff. And even if you do get it, eventually you'll find out that, well, it doesn't actually stretch as far as you thought it would. And you feel almost like you've wasted your money because you kind of have.
Yeah.
And it's just disappointing because
it's a trap.
It's a trap. There's so much. We're paying a subscription. We're paying for the expansion. do we need another microtransaction opportunity in Warcraft? I mean, obviously the bean counters say yes, but I say maybe no.
Here's the thing, right? Like, it's the fact that it's an additional currency that is the problem. Like, I don't mind on paper paying for cosmetics with real money, right? My problem is with currency like this, the trap, for those of you that have never dealt with a game that did this, the trap is you spend $20, you get 1,350 MacGuffin points, and then you go and buy something, and you go and buy something for 1,200 MacGuffin points, leaving you with a balance of 150 MacGuffin points left over. Not enough to do anything with, but not enough to ignore either. So then the next time you do it, you maybe buy $30 so that you get 2,500 MacGuffin points. But then you go and buy, a couple things at 1,200 points. And again, you're always left with the balance. And that's part of the trap, is because mentally people will think, well, I'm only a few points away, so I might as well just re-up. League of Legends did that for a very, very long time. They still do. And it is almost impossible. I'm not going to say it is impossible because I don't know, because I don't think they've released any of the values or what they're going to be yet, to get your balance to zero.
Yeah, I do want to cut in that Blizzard has said that the ratio of Hearthsteel to real money is fixed. It's not going to be, which says to me that it will not be like, oh, if I spend $100, I'll get 25% more. It's going to be a fixed ratio, money to Hearthsteel. And they also said you should be able to buy Hearthsteel in the amounts you want that lets you purchase the items you want without requiring you to think about which packs to add and, what should I buy to minimize leftover cash. They say it's a fixed ratio to cash, which does make it easier to understand how much you're spending. Still, it obfuscates cost, and that they're going to sell it in amounts that make sense with what's in the store. So the goal is to not trap you and have money left over. And Hearthstone has actually moved to a very similar system several years ago. I mostly find it annoying. It's an extra step, but they did do it to where it's a 1-to-1 ratio with Hearthstone's rune stones, I believe they call them. It's a fixed ratio from cash to rune stones, and you can buy rune stones in amounts that match the amounts you would need to buy things in the shop. It feels like it's an extra step. And I can understand it a little better in Hearthstone because
it was already like that to begin with.
Well, it wasn't like that to begin with. They added that at a later date. You originally used to be able to buy things straight with cash, and they put that layer in between.
I'm wondering if there's a legal thing with it then too for other countries or something like that.
They talk about it being an easier way to buy things like that.
No, it's not.
I mean,
yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Maybe
Go ahead. Sorry.
So what I can see is, okay, if you're buying like $1 thing in the Hearthstone store, which one pack does cost $1 if you are just buying one pack of cards, then you're making that purchase, you're triggering a credit card transaction fee. Whereas if instead of doing that, 100 times, if you want to buy 100 small things, you can just buy an amount of currency at one time and spread that currency around however you want. So I can see that as a justification for putting this sort of middleman currency in. But I also, even when it's done to where it's not being exploitive, it still feels it's just adding an extra step for consumers, and it's just frustrating. And once I buy Hearthsteel, I can't do anything else with this.
It is, and I can understand some of that. I will say that the transaction cost is probably not a factor, and the reason I'm going to say that is because Blizzard is a large enough entity that they probably already have an absolutely slamming rate with whatever their bank of choice is. Businesses, the more you do with providers or in this case banks, when it comes to charging, the lower they pull your rate. And Blizzard has been doing this for a long time. Activision has as well. I can't imagine
and now Microsoft.
I cannot imagine that I'm assuming it's Bank of America. Please don't come for me, secret police. But I am relatively confident it's Bank of America, and I think it's a fraction of a percent, like a fraction of a percent per transaction. I also know that most large scale organizations like this do what they call batch transactions, where you will see the charge immediately. However, they will only be charged when they hit a batch number of transactions for whatever so like I don't necessarily believe that. I'm more inclined to believe that there might be some legal end around, because I know some countries are really cracking down on games that take real money. And I'm wondering if there's a reaction in there to this, because some of the markets they're in, because they're back in China, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
China has some really weird rules about spending your money inside of another application. So like if you're in an app and you are spending real money and it's not a storefront, I know that there's some weird transactional rules around there. So I'm almost curious if that may have been a deciding factor. Regardless, if they hold to their word and it's 1-to-1, that's fine. My other problem is I'm wondering what they're going to hide behind the paywall.
Yeah. So one
The
thing,
example I saw was like a nice Arden wheeled kind of flower that was in your house, but I don't know if that was just someone's suggestion or if it was footage from the alpha kind of thing.
Well, Liz probably has more information.
I mean,
Ish.
there's not in the alpha. There was not any. This was not in the alpha. You didn't see things that were going to be Hearthsteel sold. But Blizzard has said that it's a tiny fraction of items. The vast majority of housing items will still be earnable in game. And I believe it was Wowhead. Someone published that it's like 1% of available housing items that are marked as using this currency. And Blizzard also specifically said housing items tied to core fantasies of a player's race or class, or that already exist in Azeroth, will not be sold in the shop. Thematically important decor that players know and love will also not appear in the shop. So it does sound like you're going to get cool extras, but you aren't going to get core class fantasy stuff, and it will remain a small percentage of the housing items that are available.
Yeah, if it stays like optional things, I think that's fine.
It's just, every time that you see the cool new mount pop up in the mount store, and you're like, oh, that would be really fun to have, and it's a unique framework and skeleton, and you know that you're not going to get it any other way than by giving them $20. It does feel kind of bad too.
You mean like the Caravan Brutosaur that is rumored to be coming back?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, you could get the original for 5 million gold. That means it was earnable in game. I don't think we should be spending $90 on a mount, but here we are.
Yes, but some of us will spend $90 on a mount. And moving on from that,
I think that it's probably never going to be considered a failure, because even if players have the we're going to boycott this feature and I'm never going to buy Hearthsteel, I'm sure that Blizzard will hand out Hearthsteel every once in a while to people who buy expansions or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine this ever being seen as a failure on Blizzard's part.
No, and I think it'll probably largely be fine. And and I say this as somebody who plays, I play Guild Wars 2, and almost not everything, but a lot of the premium stuff is all behind the Black Lion Trading Company, which requires gems to purchase, which you have to purchase. So it's nothing new. Games have been doing this for. But there is one last. Go ahead.
The big difference between Guild Wars and World of Warcraft is Guild Wars does not have a subscription fee, and World of Warcraft already does. And I think that is one of the things that makes a premium currency in World of Warcraft feel
weird,
bad.
Yeah,
we are already paying $15 a month to play this game, which I feel like I do get a ton of value for my $15 a month. But why am I paying $15 a month, and also I have to buy currency to get these premium items? And that just, they don't feel great. It may turn out okay, but it doesn't feel great.
Yeah. But we're gonna move on to some potentially better news, or at least good news for folks. Kai Veza, which is the Delve boss, has been nerfed. Yay! Uh, I have not done delves at all this season. So, Liz, I know at one point you were doing delves. Did you even look at Kaiveza?
So I did look at Kaiveza. I was like, oh, I get this quest on my quest log. No big deal. I'll just do the lowest difficulty. I'll get this quest done. No. No. No, you will not. Because all of Kaiveza's abilities are total one-shots. And there's one, if you fought Kaiveza when she was a raid boss, you will remember there was a thing where there are phantoms that spawn, and in the delve, you have to turn and face the phantoms, or else they will one-shot you. And it's like they would spawn, and exactly 2 seconds later, they would murder you unless you were facing in their direction.
This is not hyperbole. The timer for the cooldown was exactly 2 seconds. It's now 3.
It was exactly 2 seconds. It's 3. That's still... that's still a tight timeline, but it's more doable. And it now, Dark Massacre, which is what we've been talking about, now you can be a little off. Before, if you were even a little off, if you were not dead on focused on the right direction, dead. And so it was just very frustrating. Another problem I've had with this that is not addressed at all by these hot fixes, nerfing Kaiveza, is that if you did Kaiveza when she was a raid boss, there is this mechanic where she will spawn these sort of void pits that suck you in. And she'll spawn them on several players, and you have to arrange them so they're in kind of a circle around you or a triangle around you, so you can stand in the middle and kind of cross out all of those forces. And Bran Bronzebeard, who... I will run to a place on the other side of the room. Bran will follow me. I will not be able to get away from Bran before it spawns, and then I have 2 things right on top of each other, and then I'm dead. So I don't know if Bran's gotten any smarter. I kind of doubt it. Here we are. But this will help. This will really make Kaiveza more doable, but it's still... it's a pretty tough encounter. Cory, have you been working on this?
No, I can't. I haven't been playing Midnight or War Within, so I can't speak to how difficult it is. But I have heard that it is a lot more difficult than the last 2 question mark bosses.
It's because everything is one shot, and it just has zero room for error. And also, Bran can just straight up murder you if he places that like puddle thing in the wrong spot. Dead, and it's like. He's gonna, when you respawn, he's gonna chide you for dying, and it's like, that was on you, Bran. That was your fault. Shut up and do better. But he never does.
Yeah. So I think that does it for WoW news. Is there anything else there that we need to chat about, or I think we covered everything, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think we can move on to the other thing that is Blizzard related, which is BlizzCon. Tickets were announced as coming up for sale and are now, already for sale. Early bird tickets sold out within a day, as did the bonus add-ons for Charity Night and Dark Moon After Dark, which were gone before a minute had passed. Wow, that's fast.
So what these are is, instead of having like a separate charity dinner ticket, there is now, it's an add-on to your existing tickets. You'd buy a ticket and then add charity dinner. And the Dark Moon After Dark is just giving you extended hours to hang out in the Dark Moon Fair and do all of your Dark Moon Fair stuff. And I logged on to check tickets, and I was there like snap as soon as they opened. The second they opened, Dark Moon Fair was already sold out. So... But the tickets themselves were available for most of the day. You didn't have to log on like the exact second to get tickets. Like, you used to it used to be very hard to get a BlizzCon ticket. It required some coordination and some luck. These seem very doable, but also Blizzard announced that these were going on sale last Wednesday, and the sale was on Friday, so they did not give people a lot of lead time to plan. It's possible there will be more demand when the extended ticket sales are available on November 18th. So this was just early bird sales, which it's really, if you only have 2 or 3 days to plan, It's like, am I going to be able to make it out to California on these dates in September 2026? Am I going to be able to do that? I don't know. You only have a couple days to figure that out before these early bird tickets are on sale. But yes, now it's just going to be standard passes, which will be available on November 18th for $289.99, which is a little less than the last time we had BlizzCon. It's $10 less, maybe 20. But that's still, it's a pretty big chunk of change.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's a note here that I didn't realize that this was a thing that they're just doing on platform now. Tixer, which is I guess the vendor that it's going through, has a reseller portion of it. So we're going to possibly see some even more exorbitant pricing if you try to get a secondary ticket. I remember when scalping was real bad at the height of BlizzCon. And like getting through the queue was awful, and they had to implement so many things to like back before, like I remember registering, you had to have like a character and you had to have like proof of it and who you were and identity and all this stuff, and you were limited to how many tickets you could get per person, and then you had to wait in line to go pick up your stuff, and before that it was a madhouse. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of money probably coming out that way. And you said the next batch of possible tickets are going to be coming up November 18th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And those will be full price.
Now, full price, which is $289. The early bird prices were a little less, but not a ton less. It was $250. So that's still, it's a pricey ticket, but
I'm not even sure that buys you a cheeseburger in Anaheim.
That's true. That's true. But it's still savings is savings. But yes, it is too late for those guys. It is, I think it is possible you may see Blizzard forcing the resale market. In the past, Blizzard has been like, Blizzard's been really strict about resales, and it's been really difficult to resell a ticket. Like if you decide, oh, I can't actually go, something came up. It's been really difficult, almost impossible to resell your tickets in the past. And this, it sounds like it is going to, on the plus side, it sounds like it's going to be easier. And you might see Blizzard exert some influence and limit the price of ticket sales. It might not be a free-for-all. We do not know 100%. I hope it won't, because scalping tickets is just sad.
It
sad.
is.
Even if you were planning on going, it's sad.
Well, I mean, considering the amount of stuff that I see people try to scalp, it's not, I mean, I'm numb to it at this point. Sorry, go ahead,
that
Cory.
the ticket's hot enough anymore to get high-profile scalpers, like high scalpers. Like, I know that it's a good ticket. They'll try, but there was still tickets available day of last year, or in 2023.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the case here again too, right? Like I think we're not in danger of like, if you want to go, you're probably going to be.
Yeah, maybe you don't get the fancy extras on the Darkwind Fair and the charity dinner and all that stuff, but you'll still be able to get onto the con floor and have fun.
Yeah. I will say one other thing that this reminds me of too is like in social commentary here, because why not? Scalping has been a real problem just in general, even when something isn't necessarily like, and I'm going to air quote, scalpable. Like I saw this with like Disney Lorcana, which when it first released was people were trying to buy it up in droves because, you know, it was the new thing. But then Ravensburger just printed it into oblivion, which they told everybody they were going to do. And like all the people that were trying to scalp it just lost all that money. And it made me very, very happy. I like it when stuff like that happens. Yeah, random aside. I think we're going to move on to the next thing, which is where I'm probably going to poke Liz and see if she's got any opinions on this one. Because
oh no,
I have not touched Diablo 4 when did the expansion release? Since then, so
a while.
It's been a while. So there are some updates here. Would you like to go through them real quick?
Yeah. So there have been a bunch of developer interviews with Diablo in the past week, and they've been. I find this really strange as a strategy because they have done these interviews and they're going live on YouTube creators' channels, and Blizzard has not been publicizing them, even though in some cases they're giving away a lot of information. So you do have to really dig around to find out what's going on in this case. And it's really a very piecemeal look at features that are probably coming up in maybe the near future. So one thing that they have talked about is having a solo self-found mode, which we did get in Diablo 3 late in its life, which is basically no trading, no buying. What you have on you is what you have. What you collect is what you collect. And you're playing by yourself start to finish. That's a little bit harder to do in Diablo 4 because you do have these huge boss encounters that are not soloable. They just aren't. So I'm not sure how they're going to work that in, but it does sound like a solo self-found mode is coming at some point. Also coming, additional torment difficulties. Who could have seen this? Because Diablo 3 did have a ton of torment difficulties, and one of my complaints about Diablo 4 from day one is there were not enough difficulties because you get these big jumps between difficulty levels, and you don't have an easy way to kind of increase the difficulty. It's like Torment 3 may be too hard, but Torment 2 is too easy. And then once you get to the maximum difficulty level, there's nowhere else to go. And the game can get a little stale when you hit those thresholds. But of course, Diablo 3, it had a lot of torment difficulties, and you really didn't. There were a few you would play because those were kind of the points where the risk versus reward was best. So we will see how it goes with more difficulty. And there was a teaser of a potential paladin or paladin-like class, which they did not confirm. They explicitly did not confirm anything, but just kind of coy little hints that we may be seeing a paladin. And some very strong hints, like developers staring straight into the camera and saying, "You should watch the Game Awards." So I feel it's very likely we will have an expansion announcement at the Game Awards, even though that feels pretty late for an expansion announcement. That will be on December 10th. Personally, I'm looking forward to a paladin. When the last expansion rolled out, Blizzard said, "We're rolling out an all-new class to the franchise." And everyone was like, "Is it a paladin?" And they were like, "No, it's an all-new class to the franchise." "Is it a crusader?" "No, it's an all-new class to the franchise." "Is it a Templar?" "No, it's really a new class." So there was hype for this from the last expansion. And Blizzard... And I think there was a little disappointment in the Spiritborn, which was... really marketed something as brand new. It feels a lot like a monk. It feels a whole lot like the Diablo 3 monk. But
it's a monk and a witch doctor that had babies.
Yeah, exactly. So what about you two? Would you jump back in to play if you had a paladin, crusader, Templar style class to play with?
I mean, I loved playing the Spiritborn as a whole new class. So yeah, I'm down to see what they can took on. I haven't played the last couple seasons because it was just getting too samey. And
yeah,
so
I agree.
I mean, the next season sounds like it's going to make some big swings, and I'll poke back in and see if it is feeling a lot better.
Mm-hmm,
I believe it could. It's the core gameplay of Diablo is great, so yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Diablo can swing really, really wildly. I think it has a problem where it overcorrects. It overcorrects. So something's wrong, so it swings hard the other way. And then, now this is a problem. So it swings hard back the other way. And, they don't have a franchise game director. And it's kind of like, okay, does anyone know where we're headed here? Because it's a little concerning. But it does sound like we are coming in for an announcement, maybe a month away. And I'm pretty excited if we get a paladin style class. I love the paladin in Diablo 2. I enjoyed the crusader in Diablo 3. And frankly, the original Diablo 4 story felt like it was really primed to have some kind of Templar to carry on the story of the Zakarum that we saw in Hawazar. So I think there are lots of cool story hooks. You could tie into a lot of Diablo 4 lore, but also a lot of older lore. I think that could be really, really cool. So I hope we're getting a Templar or something along those lines. There's also been another thing that's kind of making controversy in the community right now is that there is a survey going around that's linked from the game's login screen that it says feedback survey. Let us know what you think and directly influence Diablo 4's development process. Now, Cory, if you saw this, what kind of survey would you expect to take?
Well, I don't know. I'd expect something like, how do you enjoy playing these classes, and what kind of activities do you like to do in game, and let's say things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would expect when it talks about influencing the game's development. But actually, it's a lot more like a marketing survey. It asks for demographic information and how many people are in your household and how much money do you make, because they're trying to target. Well, they're trying to learn about who is playing the game, and from that kind of demographic information, you could potentially make some broad conclusions about what different groups of people enjoy and what kind of gameplay you might focus on based on demographics. So it could be that this is actually influencing Diablo 4's development, but also this seems a lot more like marketing information. It's how to sell you stuff better. It's how to advertise better. So the community does seem to be a little bit up in arms. Yes, I specifically there's a headline going around about how this invades privacy and harvests player data, which I think is going a little too far.
That does seem a bit alarmist.
It's a little alarming. If you saw this headline, you'd be like, Diablo is harvesting my data. It's stealing my personal information, which the survey is asking for different information than you would expect it to be asking, but it is also, I think it's just mislabeled. It's not going to take any data from you that you don't give it. You have to voluntarily give it data. It's not sucking up data from your computer if you open it or anything like that. But at the same time, you might not want to give Blizzard that kind of information, which is fair. I think Blizzard it's been handled badly.
Yeah, they're also not the only.
It's been positioned badly.
It has been, and they're also not the only company asking for this data recently, and I find that really worrisome. Like, it's not so much the invasion of privacy and harvesting player data is a separate entity. Technically, they kind of already do that, but that's not really it. If you're asking a survey that is asking for like demographic information, income, stuff like that, that's when I get a little worried, because are they looking for, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Usually that means something is potentially being talked about that will ruin the whatever you're consuming, because they're going to try to maximize the profit on. Like Wizards just did this, and a random aside, I know, but they just released the Spider-Man Universes Beyond set, and it did not do well. It did not perform to what they expected. And so they released a survey. And in that survey, it asked for stuff like this. And then it asked for, why didn't you buy this product? And if you didn't buy this product, why is it because of streamers? And like trying to find justification for like why the product didn't sell versus, maybe it wasn't something people wanted. But here it's like, why are you trying to figure out why people aren't buying your silver currency? Like, why are you asking for this information? Like, stop it.
It really feels, this would be a marketer advertiser's kind of treasure trove. This
100%.
is going to tell you who should you be advertising to? How should you be advertising these things to reach different demographics? That's frankly exactly what this feels like to me, is that this is going to help them market stuff, which is, if you're a player and you want to influence Diablo 4's development, that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, no. Although I will encourage anybody who wants to take this and just pick the highest salary range, even if you don't make that money, just throw off that data, go for it. Like, that's fine.
As another random aside, it's kind of a conspiracy, but as we all know, probably in the gaming sphere, that Grand Theft Auto just got delayed again.
Mm-hmm.
And the conspiracy that I had heard about it was that it had been delayed so that it was going far enough back that the public opinion on how much a game should cost will have allowed for the $100 games without a lot of backlash. So anytime we see a money-focused marketing thing like that, that's my assumption too, is that they're trying to see how much money they can get away with charging you for the game that you want to play.
I mean, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that the game in its current state is probably wildly broken and going in a million different directions. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Are we talking about Grand Theft Auto, or are we talking about Diablo?
Yes.
Yes. And I know that there's probably been a lot of crunch, and I think I've seen some headlines about former staff members at Rockstar that have not been... I don't know the full story. I haven't gone into this, so I'm sure that there were other factors there that lead to the delay. But the conspiracy theory of the moment is that if they hold it long enough, people will be like, oh, you know what? $100 for a game? That's not so bad.
Well, you know, that's based off of... It's not necessarily, I would say, a conspiracy theory versus an educated guess, because there have been developers that have talked literally about doing that in interview, like, you know, waiting for the price tag to be more palpable or palatable, right? Like it's a thing that is, they've done it in the past. And maybe this makes me the odd man out, and I understand games are just expensive. I don't mind paying a larger price for a game. Nowadays, I understand inflation and costs and stuff like that. It's the ridiculous stuff that they try to give you to entice you for it, as opposed to having just gently raised them all along. That's the problem, right? Like if I pay $70, $80, $90 for a game, chances are pretty good I'm going to get my money's worth just from time spent in the game. Like Pokemon ZA is a really good example. It's a $70 game, brand new, right? Like, but I have played probably 2 weeks worth of time in that game, like 2 weeks of days worth of time. So however many hours that is, playing the game. And I feel like I got my money's worth out of it. It's the games that charge you like $100 that have no content to them, or are wildly broken, or release in an unplayable state. Those are the ones that feel bad. I'd rather a game be delayed though, so that it just releases in a proper state.
You madman.
Yeah, I'm a rebel, Dottie. But I think that's really it for Diablo 4 news, and I want to touch on some other stuff, because there are some other things going on that I think are kind of important to touch on. Particularly, NetEase is doing some culling, it looks like. We know about one of them. We've seen about it, but I didn't know about the other one, which makes me sad. So fantastic.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, the thing about we have talked about Fantastic Pixel Castle before, I believe, but they are now officially shutting down on November 17th.
Yeah, which they were with NetEase. NetEase pulled the funding from their studio, and they're basically no more. The one that I didn't know about was Jackalyptic Games, which was a studio founded by Jack Emmeret, which was working on the Warhammer 40K MMO. Lost its funding from NetEase as well, and is also shutting. At this point, like, I understand that games are expensive and getting games development is expensive, but like, if I was a developer and I was lining up people, I would not be working with NetEase. Like,
well, in recent months, NetEase has really been pulling back on what it's spending on development, so that's why we're seeing these shutdowns. I suspect we could still see more of them. And of course, the problem is we're in a difficult time economically, a difficult time for the gaming industry. So both of these studios have tried to secure new funding, but it is expensive to develop a video game, and you need some big support back there. So they've both tried to secure funding, and it sounds like they just... One thing I do appreciate about both of these is that they're like, you know, we've got to support our employees. We might be able to get this project funded at a later date, but we aren't going to be here and just run every penny drive and leave our developers, you know, in the dust. They're going to... one thing that Greg Street has specifically said is, you know, it sounds like they're encouraging their developers, go and look for new jobs. If we get this project off the ground and you want to work on it, that's a possibility in the future. But yeah, it's a tough economy for making video games right now, and I don't know if either of these are gonna turn into anything now.
Well, especially
not only that, but to make an MMO, which is the biggest, most expensive video game you could possibly try and make.
Yeah, I think there's also a level of it too where our current global political climate doesn't help either, because a lot of, especially over the last like 20 years, 10 years more or less, you've seen a lot more foreign investment pick up game studios and stuff here. And with stuff happening in the world, I mean, I can understand why they're severing some of those ties, but I will say that I've always appreciated Greg Street's game design chops and like the way he thinks about games. And I would love to see another game with his touch on it, and the people around him working on it. If I have to wait a while for that, that's fine. But I hope that in the meantime, maybe he gets a chance to do something, maybe a smaller project, maybe another passion project or something, maybe something slightly less ambitious than Project Ghost.
Do you think that he would ever go back to Blizzard? Or
Oof.
it's been a while. He's got 10 years at Riot, or 10 plus years at Riot under his belt.
I don't know. WoW is a much different game. Now, if I'm going to make somebody angry when I say this, to me in WoW, class balance has never been better than when Greg was on that. I think that he listened to player feedback and understood how to filter, like understand the containerization of players, like understanding this is what hardcore mythic raiders want, this is what hardcore mythic key players want, this is what casual people want, this is what solo players want, and developing classes to fit those niches in ways that made as many people happy as possible in balancing the classes. Because I will say that I think that, at least from a healing standpoint, when he was there, healers were the most balanced they had ever been. If he were to come back the next day or decide that he wanted to come back, or they made an offer to him, I would not be upset in the slightest if he were to be coming back and bringing some of his game design chops back to it. And if he doesn't, also understandable. We don't know, the reasons why he left. He's never really talked about it, just wanted to go do other things. He may just be past that point as well, where it's like that chapter of his life is fully closed. But I don't know. Somebody, Greg, if you're listening to this, we'll have you on the podcast. We'd love to talk with you, see what your POV is on that one.
Yeah. MMOs, are they a dying industry?
I do want to throw in maybe a little piece of good news, which is, okay, it's not going to sound like good news when I start here, is that another studio that NetEase pulled funding from was T-0 Entertainment, which had some BioWare people, some Bethesda people, founded by Rich Vogel, I think was running the studio, who is a BioWare Austin guy, and shut them down in September. But it seems like they have been able to come up with some funding and have that the brand has been acquired by a small group of veteran game directors and founders. So, and one of the things I've talked about is that they're reimagined, refocused, and ready to build the next great player-driven experience, which sounds a little like, your standard marketing thing, but they're also talking about doing a development model and funding approach that's more inspired by the independent film world, where they have focused, project-based development, and it's going to be very much based on partnerships. Who's going to... So I don't know. It looks like they're approaching this thinking maybe small, if that makes sense. If you're thinking about this like your game is equivalent to an indie film, you're making smaller games. That doesn't mean they aren't fun and awesome, but
speaking of which,
maybe that's a better scale. And they were working on some sort of science fiction multiplayer game that I don't think they ever announced, but so at least one of these shutdown studios has had something of a success story, even if they are almost certainly scaling down what they were working on.
Well, speaking of games that some of them may be smaller in scale, but big in hope, we're going to slide over real quick to talking about the Steam Animal Fest, which
it's so cute.
It literally, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's games about cute animals, or just animals in general, doing all sorts of weird shenanigans. If you haven't played it, you get a chance to pick up certain games at quite a reduced price. Like one of my favorite, totally not Zelda games, Tunic, I think is 50% off right now, which highly recommended. Little Kitty Big City, Goat Simulator 3 is out there. I mean, Goat Simulator is just iconic at this point.
I mean, it's a variety. Like, you can buy Hello Kitty Island Adventure, or you can buy Goat Simulator. You know, this is not all necessarily fluffy, friendly animals.
Nope.
Because sometimes it's Goat Simulator. And
yeah. There's a ton there. Was there any particular standouts for you that you saw that you really liked?
I've played Goat Simulator, and it's so much wacky fun.
It is.
I would point out Sunderfolk is one of the games available on sale. It's $30, which is a pretty sizable discount, but it's not free, which is the game developed by Dreamhaven, and that's Mike Morhaim's studio, which they have not been doing great either, because I think they've produced a couple of great games in Sunderfolk and... Okay, what's the other one? I want to say WildStar, but that's definitely not it. Wildgate?
Yeah. Jumpgate?
I think...
Wildgate.
No, Wildgate. Okay, we got there eventually. And I think they've been good. Sunderfolk has gotten good reviews, but I don't think they've been of huge mainstream popularity as they needed to keep developing at this scale. So, but you can pick that up, Sunderfolk, for sale right now.
Cory, anything particularly stand out for you?
Just Goat Simulator. Like, you don't... Have fun. Be a goat. Go headbutt some random farmers and make their day just a little bit worse by being just that ornery goat.
I'm looking at Whiskerwood personally. I like a good Civ game, and this is Civ with mice. Little tiny cute mice who must free themselves from the tyranny of cats. But it looks really clean. It looks like it has everything you want from a simulation, city builder, base building type game. Has elements of strategy. So definitely something I'm going to check out, I think, or at least keep an eye on, because I didn't know this existed until this festival, and I'm here for it. All right. Well, I think at this point we're going to turn it over to Liz for a little site news.
So, I want to remind all of you that Blizzard Watch is made possible by listeners like you, by readers like you. It is your support that really keeps us going. I want to give a big shout out to Gabriel, who supported us this week at $5 a month. If you are able to support us financially, you can go to patreon.com/Blizzard Watch and set up a monthly donation. If you support us at $3 a month, that gets you early access to all of our podcasts ads-free, plus the bonus Blizzard Watch podcast pre-show. This week we talked a lot about trains. It just happened. Trains, other stuff, but a surprising amount of train-based content.
Very little planes and automobiles, though.
Boats, though, too.
Yeah. Boats, yes. It was kind of a transportation theme thing going on. If you support us at $5 a month, you get all of that podcast stuff, but you also get ads-free access to the website itself at blizzardwatch.com, because yes, we have a website. If you listen to us here, you may also enjoy reading us. So your support really helps us out. Our support is a little low right now, which I can understand. It's tough times all over. But if you can support us financially, thank you so much. Head to patreon.com/blizzardwatch. If you cannot support us financially, I understand that. You can also go to patreon.com/blizzardwatch and join as a free member, and you will get our weekly newsletter of the latest news, which I try to write on Fridays. Sometimes I write it on Fridays. Sometimes I write it on Monday morning. So, but that totally free. You can get that in your email box instead of having to remember to go to the site or follow on social media. But you can also follow us on social media. That does help us out. You can share things with your friends and help other people find out about Blizzard Watch. That does, in fact, really help us. We are Blizzard Watch on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Mastodon at gamepad.club. We are blizzardwatch.com on Blue Sky and Blizzard Watch Podcasts on YouTube and blizzard.watch on TikTok. That's this list of networks has really become a mouthful. If you subscribe to us on any of those places, like, subscribe, and share, that genuinely helps out. And also, if you're looking to get a little further into Warcraft lore, you can go to blizzardwatch.com/Warcraft-books. And we have a list of every book, comic, everything you can purchase related to Warcraft lore. All of the novels, all of the comics, all of the everything in chronological order. If you are interested in buying any of that, we get a little kickback on all of those if you purchase them from our page. So if you're going to do that anyway, please visit our page and buy them from there. That does really help us. So thank you all for being here and listening and reading. It really helps out. Now, if you have questions for this or any of our other podcasts, please send them to podcast@blizzardwatch.com. Specify the show, which is Blizzard Watch. That's us talking about video games. Tavern Watch, where we talk about tabletop games. Or Lore Watch, where we talk about the lore of your favorite games and other nerdy things. And give us any pronunciation of your name, and we will answer your question as soon as we can. This is, we did not get to questions this week, but we have a few, and if you want to send us any more, great. We will put them.
I was going to say, we got time. We're going to do this one, I think.
Oh, are we? Okay, we'll get a question in. So, you can also send us questions on Discord, and if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can do so through the Patreon Q and Podcast Questions channel as our way of saying thank you. And I will also say thank you again right here. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening.
Well, I think with that note, and thank you very much, Liz, we're going to get to this question real quick because it is relevant, especially with the Midnight Beta just starting. This one comes from Delos, which every time I see your name, I want to start singing a very particular song. Stat squishes. Personally, I can't stand them as they break the whole power fantasy. I'm aware of the practical reasons why we can't just keep getting infinitely more powerful, but while I'm aware that the practical impact of the game is minimal, I've never enjoyed how it feels post-squish, and there's always some wonkiness to be adjusted and rebalanced after the fact. Here's why I bring it up. Midnight is coming with a stat squish, and it feels like a rough time for it. If they knew we were going to need one before World Soul was over, maybe we should have had one going into the War Within to not find ourselves suddenly weaker going into the second act of a trilogy. Though if they actually incorporate it into part of the story of Xal'atath, the Sultan of the Sunwell, and Azeroth in general, that could at least be an interesting way to frame it. So what are your thoughts, if any, about stat squish in Midnight? And seeing as they're a necessary evil, how would you handle stat squishing in general if you were in charge? A very good question and very topical, so thank you very much for sending that in. Personally, and I understand why people are very upset about stat squish, I don't necessarily mind it. That's also maybe because I look at the math of it a lot, and as somebody who does a lot of math calculations, like I'm a spreadsheet guy when it comes to like gearing and stat priority and everything else. Like I know there's guys out there that do it for you. I always do it myself. It's just the way I've always been. So I appreciate personally when a stat squish happens because it makes those numbers a little more easier to, calculate. But I understand why like that feeling of weakness that happens right after it always is a little bit weird, but it usually is the weirdest part when you go to older content. Most of the time, newer content I think is okay because they're squishing with that in mind. It's when you find the random old content that like wasn't tuned properly or adjusted that I think that's when it feels the absolute worst. But you are right that it does seem like it may be a weird point to put it in at the middle of a trilogy. But I think actually Midnight might be the right place for it. And the reason I say that is because at the beginning of the War Within, so many new things were being added to the game that you could spend time putting the stat squish in and then adjusting the game, or you could put delves in, right? You can focus on the newer content. You can focus on making sure that the game has what it needs. And I'm not saying that the War Within was perfect, but a lot of that stuff would have probably been on the back burner as they scrambled to balance the game to make it playable. Now they know what the systems are. They know how delves work. They know, they've had time in the sun with this stuff. And Midnight is probably a safe place to actually do the squish because it still gives them time to adjust, and it probably will not break the game like it has in the... What do you guys think?
The numbers get meaningless if you let them go on too long. I have 1 million health. I have 10 million health. I do 20 million DPS. I might as well be doing 2000 DPS. I understand the whole power fantasy of like number go up. We like number, but I don't know. As long as the things are dying, the health bar is going down. It feels fine to me. I don't mind seeing a squish happen. The best part of the stat squish, though, I would say, is that when you get the situations where all of a sudden something is a little broken in the background that maybe wasn't before, and you can go back and have fun with like breaking an achievement, as long as the achievement is still gettable.
Liz?
I think I'm with both of you. I don't mind a stat squish. What I do mind is when you go back and you feel weak going back in. Now, having played in the alpha, even though I have said I've mostly been doing housing, I have done some content. What I like is that content has not felt bad to do. I don't feel weak, even though alongside the stat squish, they've really changed up talents for some classes. I mean, some classes more than others, but everyone's getting some changes. So I've gone back and done some old content. I have done some new content, and none of them feel bad to do. And if that is the case, if I can go back and do content without feeling weak, I'm okay with that.
And again, everybody's going to feel a little bit differently about it. And I don't know that I think they're handling it the best way they can. It's always going to be, it's one of those situations where it's a Kobayashi Maru. You cannot win. You have to do it. You try to minimize the impact. There really is no right time to do it because you also need players to actively be playing the game to know what's broken. So like you could do it in the lull between expansions, but then your player base is short. And then you do it now and it feels like it's a bad time because it's the opening chapter of the middle expansion of a trilogy, but also that's when the most players are probably going to play and you're probably going to get the most valuable feedback. So I don't know that there is a better way to do it, but if we can ever think of one, we'll be sure to let them know. But I think
I could think of like percent, like all damages do percent based damage now instead of that. But then you get a whole different whack of problems because I remember that, like why they got rid of percent based trinkets.
And why they got rid of percent based stats a while ago because the math on it and I mean we're not going to spend too long on it because I think we've talked a little bit about it too much, but percentages you had to figure out if they were multiplicative, if they were additive, what their priority was, how that order changed the math. The math got really convoluted and the game as a result was really hard to run. It's a lot easier now. So, but yeah. But with that, folks, I think that's going to do it for us. I do want to thank you for joining us on this journey. And we will see you next week.